Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be a birthday card. This card features a product called Embellishment Mousse. This is going to be another way to use up paper scraps also. Every time that I cut a card base or card front or the mats for the inside mat for the card, I end up with strips of different color paper. The most abundant strips that I end up with is white strips of paper, and I found a way to use those white strips in this card design, and I wanted to share it with you. This card design is going to be a card for my good friend Jared. His birthday was last month. I'm very late with this card, but I wanted to take a moment and make a video for the card that I created for him. Let me move this out of the way and show you the materials that this card needs. Okay, it looks like a lot of paper, but that's because of the layered design here. But let's go through it. Okay. The inks we'll be using today is Memento inks, Cantalope, Ladybug, Bamboo Leaves, Rich Cocoa, and Peanut Brittle. I'm also going to be using two distress inks, one Frayed Burlap Distress Oxide and Broken China Distress ink. I'm going to be doing some light blending, so I have a couple of blending tools for that. And I'm going to be using the Nuvo Embellishment Mousse. This is Cornflower, which is a beautiful blue. And because I'm going to be doing a messy technique, I have a glove here to protect my hands. I'm also going to be using some score tape. This is, of course, I've shown this before. This is 5 inches wide, but score tape usually comes in 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch. And this should look familiar to you. This is just very wide. If you don't have this, you can use Stick It. And I just need a small piece of that. I'm going to be doing some masking using this masking liquid. This is a Molotov pen, and you just give it a good shake to mix it up, and it's a cute little technique I'm going to show you. I also am going to be using some wood grain washi tape. The stamps and dies I'm going to be using today is the Hearth and Home die from Stampin' Up. It's this little window. I'm going to be using an Anchors stencil. I don't remember right off the bat. Might be Kaisercraft. I will leave the link down below of whose stencil that is. I'm using the Zodiac Birthday by Hero Arts. This Hero Arts? Yes. And the Coastal stamp set by Inkadinkado. Okay, I think that's everything, so let me clear this away and show you how to create the card. First, I'm going to make the window, and that is why I have the 6-inch piece of paper. I need to die cut 2 of the windows, and this will get 2 of them side by side. So let me go to my Big Shot machine. Okay, there's one, and I just use my pokey tool and free up the little pieces. But be careful not to tear it. There. Okay, so you just take it and glue the 2 pieces together. And this is because I liked it to be a little bit thicker than it was. You have a few seconds before this sets up permanently, so that's why when you're doing little intricate things like this, it's good to use an adhesive, a liquid adhesive instead of a tape, because the tape, once you put it down, it wants to stay put, and if you had to pick it up, you would possibly tear or warp your die cut. Okay, so that's good. Now the next thing I'm going to do is work on this panel. So I want half of it to be with the Nuvo Mousse, and the other half will have the wainscoting. So let me put my glove on real quick. Okay, and I have a piece of paper to protect my work surface. So this Nuvo Mousse has a consistency of margarine, I would say, and it adds sheen to your work. So I have a blender tool which I have specifically this pad for this product because I don't want to cook up my regular pads for the coloring. So you just take it and get a good bit right onto the tool. Let me get the extra off and just go right over it. This will take a couple of passes to get a good enough thickness on it, but I'll speed this part up. Oh, and I'm going to give a total of 3 coats of this. Okay, that's good. I went in and used my finger because I wasn't satisfied with what I was getting here. I think I needed to wash this a little bit. It's got little dry areas on it. And it dries very quickly, as you can see. Smooth this away and clean this up and set this aside to dry for just a moment. Okay, bring in another piece of paper. Yep, that's dry enough. And now I'm going to go over the area with the anchor. So I'm just take the stencil and lay it in place. And I'm going to use a little bit of micropore tape to make sure that the stencil doesn't move. I don't want it to move. Okay, the piece there and a piece there. Okay, and now I'll get the frayed burlap and just dab all over through the stencil. So I'm doing a patching, twisting motion of this. I don't want to drag over it because I don't want to run the risk of bending up the stencil pieces because it's pretty delicate. So just patting right through. Okay, I think that's enough. And now I have an anchor pattern on the background. And that's my wallpaper. I have to rinse this so that it doesn't get messy, but for now I'm just going to set it aside. Now to get the lighthouse offset in the window. My prototype, it is not offset, but I decided I thought it would look better to do it that way. So I'm going to use the window to help me figure out where to put it. So the window is going to go here, and I want it to be mostly on the left. So I think that'll work. Just, oops, I moved it. Straighten it out a little bit. I'm going to have to trim this once I get it in place. Let's double check that. Yep, that'll do. Okay. Now the lighthouse is multicolored. I want the grass to be one color, the lighthouse to be red. So in order to do that, I could use markers and put the colors directly on where they need to be, but I didn't like how that looked. I like the look of the solid dye, so I'm going to stamp it all over with the red, and then I'm going to take a paper towel and wipe off where it is not lighthouse. So I'm wiping off all of the bush, and unfortunately this is going to give me a little bit of a haze because it's a dry towel, but I don't want to risk bringing in moisture and soaking up the paper. So I'm going to be as careful as I can. Okay. And in order to do this, you have to be sure that your paper is in the same spot each time, because we're going to be stamping over and over it. Okay, so that's the red. Clean this up. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the green, except this time, bring it up in frame. I'm going to green the bottom where the grass is. And now take my paper towel and wipe away the green off the lighthouse. Okay. Oh, pretty good. Now I want to add a little bit of shadow on one side, so I'm going to go over the left side with a little bit of the brown and then wipe that off a bit. Definitely don't want it on the grass. And dab that off. There. One lighthouse. Okay. Move this out the way. Let me make sure that I have lined it up well enough. Yep, that looks great. I'll just have to trim this area here. So now we're going to move on to the masking. So this is the masking fluid. This will also work if you don't have this. It comes in a pen form. It also comes in a jar. You can also use rubber cement. It does the same thing. So you just have to give it a good shake. And it's a pump, so you pump it to get it started and just go over the whole image to protect it. And this will dry, so everywhere the masking fluid is, you'll be able to protect your work and stamp around it. You could also do the same thing by cutting out a post-it, stamp on the post-it of the lighthouse, cut it out and put it over the stamped area, and then just go ahead. But with the blending, sometimes you can accidentally lift up the edge of the post-it, so this is a much better way to go about it. And it just takes a few minutes to dry. Just be sure that you stay inside the stamping, because wherever the fluid is, the ink will not go. So this just needs to dry. Now I'll bring this back in, and I'm going to put some adhesive on it because I need to stick the paper strips on it. So let's just get this out. Find the end. There's the end. And just lay it in place. I hope that was enough. Yes. Press it down. Okay, if you had used Stick It, for example, Stick It has release paper on one side, so you could have gotten a more precise cut than I have here, but I'm just going to go with what I have. So let me trim this off. Okay, press it down, make sure it's got good sticking. Now I need my paper back and the strips. So lift the adhesive. I'm sorry, lift the release paper. That's what I want to lift. And you take the strips and you put them in place one at a time. Actually, let me move this so I can use my grid mat. And you try to get it even at this point. And I want to leave a little bit of space between each of the strips. Not too much, but just a little. Okay, and just press right along the top to make sure that it sticks to the adhesive. Now I'll bring my paper back in, and I forgot one item to mention on my list of things I needed, which was glitter. So I'm going to use blue glitter for this and just pour it right in. And this will serve as the area between the panels. Just knock it in with your finger. I thought the blue would look nice. Probably would have been more realistic if I had got it brown, but I was feeling a little bit wonky today, so I went with blue. So just press it and make sure you get it all in there. A little goes a long way. Now, flick it back off. And I have a little Swiffer duster thing. Let me grab it real quick. Which I use for glitter. So I'm just going to Swiffer this off and get it all clean again. Okay, and there we have it. Glitter panel between it. Alright, I'll put this back in a container. And this, I'm going to pull out my trimmer and trim off the edges because I want it to be even all the way around. So I'm going to bring in the larger strip and my wood grain washi tape, find the end. And this piece is bigger than I need because I didn't want to have to try and fight with it. So there we go. Now trimmer to trim it up. Cut the white area off. There, one instant piece of wood. So this is going to cover the where the two meet. There we go. Now bring in the trimmer again and trim the ends even. I'm going to go ahead and do the inside of the card.
There's storm clouds ahead, sir.
To get the masking fluid off, you just need to scrape it off with your finger, or in this case I'm just going to get a piece of paper towel and just get it started, and it comes right off as you see. Alright, that's the finished card. I really like how it looks with the lighthouse offset versus straight there. You get a better look of it. And I didn't have these little gold rhinestones, so I substituted these little red ones, but it looks okay because there's red in the lighthouse. At any rate, thank you for watching. I hope you subscribe to my channel. I put out new content pretty frequently, and I'd like to thank my brother David for the song that he wrote specifically for this card and all the other music that he's writing. Thanks for watching and have a good day. Take care.